Welcome back to the channel, everybody. It is Bulldog1205. It has been a little bit since I've made a video, so let's get back on track with one of the most popular series that I've done in the past, the Investors Corner. So I call it an Investors Corner. This is simply me updating you guys on what I am buying, what I am selling, explaining why I am making some of these decisions that are not gameplay related. They're not about acquiring cards in the game to win battles. They're more about everything else that goes on with the Splinterlands economy. And I've got so many people out there that are like, they like stalk my blockchain transactions. They follow my transactions, and I'll buy a bunch of stuff or sell a bunch of stuff, and they'll message me, hey, why are you doing this? Like, what's going on? So I just kind of make these videos to, the point is this is for entertainment purposes, for me to update you guys. Don't just because I recommend something, don't just rush out and buy it. I've been wrong before. I'm not always right. I'm not qualified to give financial advice. All of this stuff is high risk. Anything in crypto gaming or crypto in general is high risk. So be smart, guys. I'm just explaining what I'm doing, and maybe some of you will even see some points that you hadn't considered. So you can certainly welcome to use this as part of your research, but always do further research before making your decisions. So anyways, on to it. Let's get started here. I'm actually going to start off on more of the negative side. There's a reason for that. I'm not just trying to be negative, but I'm going to start talking about what I am selling. Right now, I am actually selling SPS. And that has surprised a lot of people. SPS is one of the core assets of Splinterlands, right? It's the governance token, and it's something that I've been very bullish on in the past. A year ago or so, I made a video saying how I was buying, or at least holding, originally when SPS came out and we had all the airdrop, I sold a lot of it just to buy more cards. Like, it wasn't that I didn't like SPS, it was I didn't have that great of a deck, so I needed to start building my deck. I've since built up a pretty nice deck, definitely not maxed out or anything, but I've got a pretty solid deck. And so then I had started turning to holding it, maybe even buying up a little bit more. And the reason was I was convinced, and by the way, I actually still am convinced, that when SPS utility comes, the token is going to do very, very well. And I said that leading up to that, I was really excited about it leading up to the Rift Watcher sale, leading up to the license sale. That was kind of some of our first utility as far as using it in the game. You had to either send that to the DAO or burn. Part of it went to the DAO, part of it was burned with the license sale, with the Rift Watcher sale. And we did see a nice little spike in SPS. And I said that I thought we were going to see a spike there, and then we were going to see more sustained utility with player staking. When player staking got here, that was going to be some of the first kind of long-term sustained utility. Yes, there's still licenses available, there's still Rift Watcher packs available, but you don't see them sold a lot after those initial bursts. And player staking was going to be something that kind of added that sustained utility, and that didn't come. And that's been a big reason that SPS has kind of declined. Not only did that not come, we added in some more SPS mints that we weren't expecting, like generating for the land rewards, for the tower defense rewards, things like that. So like looking back from a year ago or whenever it was, we've gone down in SPS. And when I look back at not only that, but a lot of the things that I've invested in with Splinterlands that have not performed well, one of the biggest common factors there is not necessarily that I was wrong about what would happen, but that we didn't get these features as quickly as we expected. The player staking, which was promised to be here by the end of last year, still isn't here, and it appears we might still be 4 months out from that. That's still coming. We look at, like, okay, in one of these videos in the past, I said I was buying up tons of reward cards because I felt like land was, like, when the land was getting here, they were going to use up a lot of those reward cards. So not just reward cards, but cards in general, we weren't going to have enough. And I thought land would be here by now. Again, that was something a year ago we were looking at. Yeah, we knew that was still 4 to 6 months off, but it's like, okay, I'm going to load up on them while they're in print. And when the land gets here and they're not in print, things are going to skyrocket in value. I still believe all of those things that I've said, but the value went down just because land isn't here yet. So that's kind of been a common trend. And what I'm getting at here is I feel like that trend is going to kind of continue in the short term with SPS. The player staking isn't here. The other big utility that Splinterlands has talked about is coming with SPS. That's going to play a key role, that they've kind of turned it into a primary utility of SPS, is to use SPS, burn SPS to mint more DEC to resupply the DEC when DEC gets burned, okay? And they're going to add a bunch of these sinks, and they've talked about the flywheel and starting the flywheel. I've talked about this on previous videos. I'm not a huge fan of the flywheel being a primary driver of SPS value. I really like it as a secondary driver, not really a huge fan as a primary driver, but regardless, I think we are still a long way from the flywheel being active. Even if some of these land starter kits pass and we get some of those, we're still a decent away from a decent distance from par value. We're at about 70% of par. But right now, we have a lot of investors holding D. And as we approach par value, remember that flywheel doesn't start until we go over par value, okay? When we go over par value, then it makes sense to burn SPS to mint DEC because you get more value in DEC. And basically, as we approach par, you're going to see a ton of sell pressure on DEC, okay? As we transition from investors holding it, because those investors aren't going to be interested in holding it anymore. It's got a cap on its ceiling, and once it can't go up anymore, you're going to see a lot of those investors selling out. And as we transition from investors holding it to players holding it for market functions or for stable value, because that's what it is, intended to be, right? A stable coin. So there's definitely a lot of value there, and there's a ton of value in it being a stable coin, but we have to transition to that, and there's going to be so much sell pressure that getting to par value and then getting over par value to actually start the flywheel are kind of two completely different things. And I just think we're so far away from that flywheel is still several months away from being triggered, in my opinion, as we wait on some of these features. And I feel like in the past that's kind of been the biggest thing that I've missed out on, is I've kind of bought in too early, as a lot of these features just don't get here. So I am long-term still bullish on SPS, but right now I'm simply selling, and then I will buy back in and start to accumulate SPS once I've seen that, yes, we're getting the flywheel active. Yes, player staking is here. It's coming here. And you know what? If I wait until after all of that, I might miss out on an initial run up in SPS, okay? I very well might. But I've just kind of been burned so many times that I'm going to be willing to miss out on that initial little pump, and then I'll kind of eliminate a lot of that risk of it going down while we're holding. So anyways, that's why I'm selling a lot of my SPS. I like it long term, just don't really think a lot of the stuff is going to be here in the near future, more the intermediate future, more 4 or 6 months down the line. Who knows exactly when? I still think it's a little ways off. So what am I investing in? Okay, some of you have seen it I mentioned it in Discord, mentioned it on Twitter. The big thing that I've been buying into this last week or so are Runis. I have bought 12 Runis, okay? I am loading up on Runis because I really believe in their value. There is simply not a lot of them. There are 3,500 of them. And the reason I kind of wanted to start off by talking about that SPS is because, again, I said I failed with SPS in the past because I was waiting on features that just haven't come, right? So with Runi, we're going to see that same thing. I'm going to talk about those upcoming features here in just a minute. But the big difference with Runi that doesn't necessarily happen with SPS. With SPS, we continue to mint a lot of it. So I like SPS in the future, but if we don't get these features for 4, 6, 9 months, whatever the case is, we're minting tons of SPS in the meantime, which puts lots of sell pressure on SPS. Value can go down quite a bit. While we're waiting for these features for Runi, there's no more being made. There's 3,521 of them max. And that could even go down once we get where you can combine and component swap with the Runis that burns the Runis. So it could possibly go. The point is, there's no more being made. So I can sit here and hold these without feeling like they're necessarily going to lose a lot of value long term because supply keeps increasing or that type of thing. And there's just not a lot of these. So once these features come, so what are these features I'm talking about? Let's talk about that first before I kind of go show you the prices and what I've been buying at and all that stuff. There are two main features that we know of, okay, that we are expecting. Now, they could do a lot of other things with Runi as well, but right now we've got one utility, and that's using it in battle, okay? A very solid card. It's not, I wouldn't say it's a meta tier card. It's a very, very good card. Used at higher levels. Lower league players, it's an expensive card to have because you can only have it maxed out, right? So it's an expensive card to use in the lower league. So you mainly see it with champion players, maybe some diamond players. You can have some low level players that just like to collect it. But as far as its value in game, it's definitely more for higher end players. But we know that there's going to be guild alliance buildings coming, and you're going to be able to stake your Runi to your guild alliance building in order to get better rewards. And then we know that they're going to have special functions on land. Those are the two big utilities. Land is probably really far away, okay? We're probably looking 6 months down the line before we start with the land and farming land and all of that. So that's probably not necessarily coming soon. Alliance buildings, though, I feel like could come anytime, okay? And we've seen a little bit of a glimpse at what they're looking at. Matt actually had a post out there that it's about a month old now. It was up for a few weeks and then was taken down. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not sure it was supposed to be public. I think it was kind of more of an internal document for the team and what they were kind of building and proposing. So I'm not sure all the details around that. And the reason I mention this is it's definitely not finalized, might not happen at all. This could all certainly change by the time it gets here. But this post laid out all of the guild alliance buildings and what they would actually do and what you'd have to put in them. One of them was Runis. What Runis would do is they would give you RP bonus, your reward share bonus, or reward point bonus. So if you maxed out your Runi alliance building, everybody in the guild alliance would get a 20% bonus. So you could essentially increase your guild rewards by 20% by staking Runi to these buildings. And when I say stake to the buildings, that means you can't use the same Runi to stake to the building as you stake in game. You can't use the same Runi to stake to the guild building as you would work on the land. All these features would require a separate Runi to max out a single guild alliance building. By the way, there can be 300 players in a guild alliance. You can have 30 players in a guild, 10 guilds in a guild alliance. So to max out a guild alliance building for up to 300 players would take 250 Runi. 250 Runi. Again, this is all subject to change. It might not be what actually ends up happening here, but that is a significant number. That is 7% of the Runi supply in order to max out one guild alliance building. The one question is, okay, would people actually max these out? I definitely believe they will, at least the top guilds, okay? If you look at 300 players in an alliance and you can increase, that's less than one Runi per player. Is it worth staking one Runi? If your players are worth staking one Runi to a guild alliance building to increase your rewards by 20%? At high levels, I think people definitely would. And again, it's not burning it. You can always unstake that at any time, take your Runi back, sell it. It's not a lost fund or anything like that. So I definitely think you would see at least your top guild alliance maxing these out. I think you'll see a lot of other guilds having Runis staked to those. That's going to eat up a significant chunk of Runis. And if we go over here and look, okay, I bought 12 Runis over the course of about a week. Buying them, and I bought them like slowly, kind of over time, in order to so I didn't raise the floor too much. But my first purchases were for 0.17 ETH. I think it was 0.175 maybe. A little less than 0.18 ETH. Now this first Runi over here is actually locked, as it's staked to somebody's account, so it can't be sold. So the true floor of Runi right now is 0.281 ETH, and it's been like that for a couple days now. So I raised the floor almost 0.1 ETH just trying to buy 12 of these Runis. Imagine if a guild comes in and tries, Guild Alliance, if this information is published and people try to go buy 10 Runis, buy 20 Runis. Like there's 15 Runis, I think, if we scroll down here below 0.4 ETH. Now, yes, if the prices go up that much, you'll have some people selling, but there's just not a lot. Only 3% of the Runis are actually listed. And if we have Guild Alliance buildings eating up a lot of those Runis. This is why I invested in floor Runis, okay? Because in that post, it didn't specify that traits can matter. They've actually suggested with a land that traits, that the rarity of the traits could matter. By the way, as kind of a getting sidetracked here, I think it would be awesome if it did matter. Instead of needing 250 Runis, you needed so many points, and Rooney's got points based on the rarity of the traits that they had. And I think that would be really cool, both with land and with alliance building. So I'd love to see that utilized. But right now, I'm just loading up on floor Rooney because I think my plan will be I will keep some of these to use on the Guild Alliance building, but I would say at least half of them, maybe even more. My plan is just to flip, because if they announced this on a town hall and said, yes, this is coming, these Guild Alliance buildings are coming next week or on the next update or whatever the case is, I think a ton of people go out and buy these Runi, and I think the floor shoots up, okay? Again, I'm not qualified to make financial advice. I'm speculating on things that we don't necessarily know will come. So there is certainly risk here, but I feel like the risk is less with Runi simply because, like, I mean, just because there's no more being made. Like, it's not like SPS where the supply is going to continue to increase as we're waiting on that utility. So that's why I've got those there. That is the big thing I want to talk about today on the video, is Runi and why I have been out there buying so many of these. And you know what? I've got some bids. I've got a floor offer in there to actually buy up some more. So I had I wanted to get 15 of them. I got 12. So we'll see. I have a feeling people are gonna go now top my bid offer on there. So I bet I don't get any more, but I'm happy with 12. So that's one thing I've been buying. The other thing that I've been buying, we're gonna talk about 3 things that I like as far as buying. 2 of them that I've been buying, one that I've just been holding. I don't have any more funds to go buy. But number 2 is chaos cards, okay? And I don't feel like I need to talk about this a lot. Chaos cards are going out of print. The team is going to take another 250,000 of them for setting up nifty arcade decks. We've got a current proposal out there to set aside 300K of them for rewards, for battle rewards, while Chaos is not in print. We are very close to Chaos cards leaving print. So far in the history of this game, every time something leaves print, like a set like that leaves print, the value goes up. We're going to have a period of time where there are no cards, like, well, you have Rift Watchers, but there's no primary set available in the shop, and that typically allows for cards to go up. Just because it's happened in the past doesn't necessarily mean it will be in the future. But I've been wanting to build my own Scholar Guild, so I did a separate video on that you guys can go watch if you want to know what's going on with my Scholar Guild. But I've been building that, and I need a lot of Chaos cards for it, right? So I've taken this opportunity to go buy a bunch of Chaos cards before they go out of print, so I can get all those decks and everything set up. So I have absolutely been going very, very hard into acquiring Chaos cards. And then the third thing that I'm kind of excited about right now is GLGT. I've got a bunch of GLGT that I got from staking GLX. So some of you may have seen it in the past that I've said GLX is a great buy just because of the GLGT that you can gain. You've got a huge APY on GLX. Kind of expected the price to go down as more of it was minted. It's held price pretty well. It's at 3.5 cents right now, and that is actually pretty amazing. People have been getting 200, like, it started off in the thousands APY when I first started talking about it. It's down to like what, 100 or 200% APY that you're getting just by staking the GLX just in more GLX. So the fact that it's been holding its value has actually been pretty impressive. But the GLGT is what I've kind of been excited about, and it's just been made tradable, okay? And when GLX was first available to trade on the market, you guys remember it was selling for like 1 or 2 cents? I feel like we might be in that same phase for GLGT. It's tradable, but it has very little utility right now. Yes, you can use it to go buy packs and get a discount. Packs aren't really selling, especially at that price. You can usually buy them on the secondary market or for cheaper. So there's not a lot of demand for packs with the game not here, with the pack rewards coming to an end very soon. So there's not a huge demand there, but we're about to see some huge demand for GLGT, because they said hopefully by the end of this month, that's probably a very optimistic timeline. If not next month, there's going to be the license sale for GLX, okay? Same way license, like you've got the nodes, the license nodes for Splinterlands, that same thing is coming to GLX. And though for that sale, you're going to need GLX and be able to get the GLGT discount. Just like you get the voucher discount for buying licenses in Splinterlands, that same discount is going to come to the GLX licenses. So while you don't need to use them, you basically are. People are going to need to use that GLGT in order to get those discounts on those licenses. I think those licenses will be very popular. I think they'll sell at least a decent number of them, and that's going to create some demand for GLGT. So we're in this phase right now where it's got very little utility. We're about to see a utility spike. I think we might see a spike in value there, and then honestly, I think it'll probably go back down, just like vouchers did with the license sale in Splinterlands. They spiked, they double or triple in value, and after that, there wasn't a lot of utility for them, so they went back down. I think we might see a similar trend with GLX and GLGT. So right now, GLGT is it's at 14 cents right now. Okay, 14 cents for something that gives a $5 discount on packs. Obviously, there's not a lot of demand for packs, but I think we will see a lot of that purchased for those nodes. Now, again, it's a risk. We don't know how many it's going to use. We don't know what these prices are going to be. There's a bunch of unknowns. We don't know how long it's going to take to get here. The longer that sale takes to get here, the more GLGT is printed, which will decrease the value during that time. So this feels like a pretty risky kind of investment if you choose to go into this. Again, I've been spending more funds on Runis and Chaos packs. I haven't been buying GLGT myself, but I've been holding on to my GLGT, and I will either use it to get licenses or I'll probably sell it during that license sale to others who are trying to pick up those licenses. So those are kind of the topics I want to talk about today. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with me on what I'm buying, what I'm selling? Do you have anything else that you like more? By the way, I would say the one thing that I might like more that I just haven't had enough funds to buy as well is licenses for Splinterlands on the secondary market, because there's been some that have been very, very cheap, but there's not a lot of liquidity there. So not many opportunities to buy. But I would say that would be one that I didn't talk about today that I actually really like. But overall, is there anything else that I missed? What do you guys think? Agree, disagree? Let me know in the comments below. As always interesting to read. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you next time.